the amazing Lezly Kaye with me today. And we really just wanted to riff around the conversations because this is what we do. If we put any structure into this, it would be weird. But I really wanted to, have this conversation with Lezly because there's so many ways that you can build out a business. There's so many people talking about it. But Lezly, I really want to share with you, your story is really powerful around you've already done the things. You've already gone out and you've had the things, the big houses and the amazing husbands and the flash cars and handbags and all the stuff. But I really want to feel into what that looked like firstly, but then surely people would think, but you had it all. Can you share what happened, what life looked like, and then what happened?
Oh, yeah, I can. I basically had the quintessential Australian dream. I was a boss babe. I was very much in hustle and building and scaling and really just looking at the numbers and this egoic need to achieve.
Yeah.
And probably wounded need to achieve because that's how I felt fulfilled in my life, that if I wasn't achieving, then I wasn't worthy.
Yeah.
And so I ran towards this big vision, this big dream of the life that everyone told me I should want.
Yeah.
I literally had $1 million business, $1 million salaries, Range Rovers, 5 houses, 5-star holidays around the world each year, a husband that loved me more than he loved himself. And I sort of got to this quintessential pinnacle point and realized I was fucking miserable and I actually hated myself and I hated my life.
Yeah.
And then began a series of events to burn that to the ground. It was a very subconscious action and things that were playing out because one, I had an inability to believe I was worthy of holding everything I had created. And so much of me didn't actually want it. I literally just had this vision. I was running so far from my childhood, kind of trauma in hand though, that I didn't realize that I just wanted, growing up, I'd say I just want a family and I just want to be successful. And that's all I thought that I wanted because I just didn't want to repeat the same patterns that I had in my childhood. Like we grew up poor. I was loved in some points and there was a lot of dysfunction and abuse and neglect. And so for me, I never gave myself permission to dream bigger than just being successful. Like happiness actually never even came into the equation. It was just like, well, I'm just going to get a husband and have a kid and be a better mum than my mum and then make all of this money and that's going to bring me happiness. Like the end. Like, thanks for coming.
How did that go for you?
Well, I then sent a business to the cleaners for $3 million, building it to 20 million. There's a number of reasons for that. Based on my childhood, my dad was never around. So I kept on outsourcing my power to men. I kept on trying to find these men to save me. I didn't have awareness that that's what I was doing, but with the lens of awareness that I have now looking back, I was definitely trying to get daddy to come and like look after me finally in my life because I never had that as a child. And so I kept partnering with these men that would essentially like fuck me over in big ways as well. Like when we're playing with like multi-million-dollar businesses, the ways in which you get fucked over aren't like, oh, he hurt my feelings. It's like, I ruined
a bit. Monumental.
So I really love to embody my lessons in big ways.
Yeah.
And
we're so similar. I feel like my analogy for it is like I beat the horse and then I revive the horse. I beat it a little bit more, revive it a couple more times, ride it one more time, revive it, and it's like not until this thing is like a haggard mess do I actually go, okay, I'm done.
Really. And I say that like the universe tapped me on the shoulder to be like, babe, it's time to like redirect. Didn't listen, so it had to punch me in the face. And then I was like, oh, fuck. Oh, wow.
The feather brick truck.
Truly. I waited for the truck.
Yeah.
So I then had no choice but to pivot, and I'm so grateful. I actually, when I tell this story in more depth, like that was the beginning of the rest of my actual life. Like it was the beginning of actually coming home to myself and spending the time to get to know myself and to heal those parts of me. So I'm deeply grateful. I mean, I lost 40 kilos, like the whole journey of like, well, actually, who am I and how do I love myself and what does that love look like? And how can I stop outsourcing my power to other people, whether it be my ex-husband, whether it be a business partner, whether it be even when I first started in coaching, there was still this little like desire for someone to rescue me in a sense. And I've really had to like pull back these layers of, what I work with is self-responsibility. I've made a modality around it. I trademarked it. And I find it so interesting. We're always in the work that we teach. And so I've had to continually deepen my level of awareness and self-responsibility, given that I'm such a high achiever and so self-aware. I often hide from myself in plain sight. And it's not until we have someone in our corner, and it's why I'm like the biggest advocate for coaches, and not just because I'm a coach and a mentor, because especially when you're high achieving, we get so good at like gaslighting ourselves or solving our own problems or thinking that it's not a problem for us because we're so self-aware and we've done all of this work, and really it's just snuck into our psyche in sneaky ways.
Well, we get comfortable.
Truly, and you can't see it. You cannot see yourself. I'm telling you, I've been on this path for a very long time and I've done all the modalities, and still sometimes I'm like, where the fuck did that come from?
I love it. Surprise.
Right. Have some shadow. You're welcome.
Love it. I love it. What a journey. Like, what did you go through when you burnt it to the ground? Did then all of the I'm not worthy, I can't do it, is that when all of that came up? Because I'm imagining that was part of the process.
Yeah, I think, again, because I was so self-aware and I'm so successful, I've got nothing I need to work on.
Oh,
millions of dollars. Like, I'm so fine. And at least I'm not a junkie like the rest of my family. So like I've got this shit on lock.
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm good, guys. Look at your own shit. Stop looking at me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was hard to face to begin. And that unraveling process can be really hard. It's like, again, like this awakening awareness piece is truly like layers or like a spiral where you don't know whether you're going up or down. And it can be really confronting to face yourselves in the places that you didn't think you wouldn't associate yourself with. So the biggest for me was like, I would like scream from the rooftops, I'm not a victim. Because if I was a victim, I would have stayed a victim to my circumstances and become a junkie or become less than what I am. When I started to notice, and through doing, coaching and going into like somatic healing containers and breath work, was the ways in which I played out victim mentality in really subtle ways. Because I would gaslight myself and be like, well, I could be doing a lot worse because look at Exhibit A, not all of my family, a lot of my family now are beautiful and healing, but I guess, my parents and that whole generation of like, well, I'm not them, so I'm not being a victim and I'm doing better.
Yeah.
But I would like, almost not give myself the right tools to evolve because my ego wanted to believe that I wasn't playing a victim consciousness, but it was just playing in subtle ways that was like keeping me small, like keeping this glass ceiling on like who I thought I was and where I thought I could go, because I really just was saying, well, I'm better than I could be, so whatever success comes is enough. And then I wasn't really also like anchoring into the success itself.
Yeah, wow. So you've burnt it to the ground, you've started to become aware, and rebuild. I think, a big question that I had when I entered into business, and I every single time I've got the opportunity, I've asked somebody, like, what did you fuck up? And what would you have done differently? And it's such a loaded gun, right? There's probably a million things, but knowing that you wanted to rebuild and knowing that you wanted to stay in business and that was still the direction you were going to go, but from a more, self-aware, healed kind of place, what was different? Like, what did your first business look like compared to how you wanted to build the second one?
I think I didn't learn the lesson straight away, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think this is what I'm
The good old dead horse again.
through in a different form. So I thought it was a different lesson.
Yeah, it's just a different meat suit, isn't it?
Not so much the partnering or the men piece. Like, and I think this is where we can hide from ourselves so well, because I have, wow, healing's not a destination, but I've done a lot of work on attachment styles and reparenting myself and healing my masculine wound, and really being in this, like, where my marriage failed, where I emasculated my ex-husband because I had so much fear of the masculine, and I wouldn't allow him to be masculine because I didn't like masculine men, because masculine men hurt me when I was little.
Yeah.
And so I did so much cleanup in that psyche that what I didn't look at was where I still wanted to get from A to Z as quick as possible, which isn't a bad thing. But in my first year of growth, and I made over 200K in my first year as a solo coach, multiple six figures, the people are like, no, you won't be able to. And I'm like, watch me.
Yeah.
But because I was looking at all of the, like, masculine healing and feminine and masculine energetics and all of this stuff, there was still a propensity to, like, grow with ego. It was just dressed a little differently. And so I didn't really look at the infrastructure, and I kind of just ignored that I was in a completely new industry with a completely new model, and that I still needed to learn. I mean, a whole new way of showing up online, a whole new way of connecting, a whole new way of building out systems and programs. Because although I have, like, the business experience, although I've, like, built and scaled multiple $1 million businesses, I wasn't an expert in marketing, for example. But I was like, nah, I've got cash, I'm just going to outsource that, rather than find someone that was going to allow me to outsource it after I understood it enough myself.
Yeah.
And so I grew this, like, big business. I want more insatiability in me, but I grew, I guess, with what most people would be like, yeah, that's great, that's fantastic. And then I got to the end of last year and I was like, I want to travel more, and I have no systems in place, and everything feels like it's falling off a fucking cliff, because I took my foot off the gas the back half of the year to actually, travel more and spend more time with my son. And I didn't have the infrastructure in place to actually sustain further growth. So rather than come into the new year from a level up here, I felt like I came back 3 steps. 1, because I like to embody my lessons. And 2, because I just wasn't looking. It's like, you don't know what you don't know until you know it.
Yeah.
And now I know that there's a whole, like, dance and system and understanding of the undercurrent of how business works that I just had in this space. I had I had a big business, but I had a marketing team. I didn't need to do it. They had money. I paid them. I didn't need to learn any of that shit. And so there was so much of this ego of, like, I'll make it someone else's problem, until it became my problem. And I went, fuck.
Yeah.
Probably should have understood this a bit more.
Yeah. What made you, I guess, obviously with us working together now, what made you make that shift? What was the piece where you started to understand? Because you already have a lot of what we're doing together. A lot of people go, but I've already got that. What was the piece, I guess, where you were like, yeah, I've got that, but it doesn't look like that? What was that piece?
I kind of just threw shit at a wall. I tried to figure out what would stick, and some of it did and some of it didn't.
Yeah.
And I got really sick of, like, feeling like I was starting from scratch.
Yeah.
So, like, I have to do another masterclass, or I have to do another this, or I have to do another that, because, our minds work very similar. Whereas I can go from A to Z to build a business. You can go from A to Z to build a business in marketing. So there's this, like, knowledge that I didn't have to, like, have proper foundations and proper, like, foresight as to, like, I've done this. This is what it looks like. I know where you're going because I've been there. And rather than sticky tape it, how about we actually give you proper foundations? So yes, you're going to run this masterclass or this live event or whatever it might be, but if you don't want to do it again, you don't have to, but you're probably going to want to because it's going to lead into this. But like this whole concept around, rather than my efforts being siloed, more symbiosis in the whole process. So it felt like an evolution rather than a start, stop, a start, stop.
Yes. Yes, you put that so well. And, that's what I see a lot of is, we do the masterclass, but guess what? You're going to have to do it again because you got no systems set up and no structure for that to become some type of evergreen money-making machine. And again, I have people say, I've got evergreen. It's like, that's great. Having it set up inside a portal that punches out 3 emails, that's not evergreen. It's the whole entire process of how and it's that reverse engineering piece, I feel, that's probably given you the understanding of why we now are building things out the way we are, because it's like, right, I want to be able to travel more. I want to be able to walk away from my business. So let's have this running on autopilot. Ads will run this. We've got automations that are going to run that. We've got AI that's going to move this. And we've got some people in the back end that are going to help us, bring it all to life, which, like you said, it takes away that do the masterclass, throw it out, see what happens. Now everything's got that strategic piece to it where, you did one Facebook post, Lezly. I suggested that you put up one Facebook post that we had a bit of a giggle about. You put it up and it like blew up.
I think it's like nearly 400 comments. And even just that like permission piece to be in the polarity, like some other stuff I've put up since then and I'm like, oh shit. And I can hold it. But yeah, even just that like lens into why we do what we do and how we do what we do, rather than just do it. Okay, yes, I'll just go do it. Like the only way to embody something, I believe, is like body, mind, soul. And I talk about it in all of my work. And so it's rather than just like doing it because somebody told me and they noticed the strategy, it's like, here's why, and here's the results, and here's what you can do with this.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that piece, sharing right from that front end where you're seen, and for you building online, it's social media. That's where we get seen. And it's using that to your advantage with the way that you speak and your messaging and how we actually get people to engage. Where again, and I don't know whether you agree, but that piece is so thrown together. For most people, it's like, oh, somebody told me that I need to post. So I'll throw this shit up and let's just hope it works. But again, that strategy behind the socials, which then brings them into the, opt-in form, that brings them into the masterclass, that feeds them and warms them up and brings them into your ecosystem. I mean, those types of things are absolute game changers. So I'm excited for, people that are listening, because I know this is going to go out in several different places. What is the one thing that you can see is going to be the biggest shift from where you were to where you want to go by implementing something like this? Is it the time freedom piece? Is it the more choices piece?
It's like so it makes me more embodied in the experience that I want people to have is one thing as well. It's like this customer journey of like, you actually feel like you're in an ecosystem rather than you just having one touch point.
Yeah.
And I say to people all of the time, like, I spent a lot on outbound paid advertising and I had no organic. I had no strategy or process to simmer a cold audience to a warm audience to a hot audience. And so the second I turned my ads off, my tap to my business turned off.
Yep.
And so, and when the tap was on, I would say 20% of the leads I were getting were the leads that I wanted. So it was a lot of energy and effort to actually get what I wanted.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, yeah, there's a time freedom piece because I'm not fucking, we've automated half of everything and I can still do it with integrity because the way in which you It's not like you're like, here's a cookie cutter and just do what I say. I love that you're very embodied in this is what I would do, but do what you would do. And you also don't sell, like, well, you don't connect with the intent to sell, you connect with the intent to connect. And I love the embodiment in that, because I don't like, oh my God, let's just add the world and then sell them something, because
Yeah.
if it feels icky in your body, it's going to feel icky in the body of the person you're trying to sell. It's not going to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
To foster connection. And so you've allowed me to foster. So I was speaking about this in a group of women I was with the other day. It's like, I get omnipresence. So I'm currently fostering connection in a true and committed way, and I'm not in front of my computer or my phone, but in the way in which that it's being delivered and the way in which there's that level of embodiment, it feels good in my nervous system. I'm not trying to sell to anyone. I'm genuinely creating connection. And I'm doing it from a place of working less, because I have the capacity to be omnipresent online. And that automation gives us is the ability to live our life and be in service at the same time. And I think the key for me is, and I just got goosebumps, where people have resistance to using automation or AI, or whatever it might be, is because the way in which we're told to use it is not in alignment with who we are. And if someone asked me if I used AI to initiate a conversation, I would be comfortable to have that conversation, because I know that my intention behind it is freedom, which is one of my highest values. And I speak about this with my women. It's going to be in the 3-day challenge that I've got coming up, is this, like, if we can align our purpose, our values, our goals to our I can think of the words, but now the word of what it's called, with our values, it doesn't, there's no conflict. So if someone was like, hey, did you send AI to send this message? I would be like, yeah, I did. And I don't know about you, but I desire omnipresence, because the more inboxes I can be in, the more reach that I have, and the more women that are here for me and what I have to deliver will find me.
Yes. Yes.
And it's this piece of, like, you're in integrity if you can hold yourself in the reasons why, and you can hold yourself in the reasons why if you bring it back to what you value deeply. And my values are love, truth, and freedom. So I'm doing it because I desire freedom, and I don't want to be on my phone sending 1,000 messages, but I want to connect. Like, I want to connect with people. I just don't have the capacity to do it today.
Yeah.
Truth for me is, like, can I stand in my truth if someone calls me out on this? No one ever does, by the way. I've never had it. They just love that I'm so genuine in my connection, because the message I've crafted comes from my heart. The biggest response I get is, wow, you're a breath of fresh air. Because I literally am like, bet you thought I was here to sell to you. I'm genuinely not. And call out the shadow in the industry. And then love is the connection piece for me. Like love encapsulates a lot of my life, but I truly love to connect with women and hear about their stories and find out where they might be struggling and point them in the direction of advice. And 9 times out of 10, it's not actually something that I deliver. It might be, hey, here's a book, or here's a podcast. And when we can align our marketing or our infrastructure to our business with our mission through our values, then I don't give a fuck who comes at me that says AI or automation isn't good, because it's the intent and it's the way that you use it.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, I was always, one thing that really stuck with me on my journey has been the person that speaks to the most wins. But when I took that initially, building my first company, again, multiple 6 figures going through it every single month, I went, aha, I need to speak to everyone within 5 foot of me, and that's what's going to happen. You're all getting sold to. Now, at the start of my journey, it actually worked quite well. Cold DMing, because it was new, people were not building empires online. So it worked. It worked an absolute treat. But as the times have changed, and I've watched this evolution as I've also built out companies at the same time, I saw that things were shifting. But what I constantly see now is the lack of shifting in people's marketing from 8 years ago, 6 years ago, 5 years ago. So a lot of people are trying to skull drag the same things that might have worked back then into the now. And this is why I think there's a lot of resistance around AI, because it's like, but I never used it and I got this far, I can claim or could have claimed world domination with AI, having put that into play in my first company, but it wasn't an option. But that piece of, bringing the AI in, because you get to a point inside your business where you're so confident on what you deliver, and you know that the value that you share is so incredibly high, that now attacking conversations from a collaboration perspective, it's like the powerhouses that are in my inbox daily. It scares me. I'm like, whoa, I'm gonna have to level my shit up again soon, because these women are like next level on not only what they've created, but who they are and what they bring to the table. And that for me is the biggest gift, is that strangers become friends and friends become family. And for people like you and I that have come from such broken stories, of such heartache of the people that was supposed to love us the most, it doesn't matter to me. The business, great. The all the things that we've been able to create, amazing. But the best fucking piece of it is the people that I get to keep, like yourself. It far outweighs the business, the transaction, the program, the 6 months. It's the people that you get to keep in your corner. That to me is true wealth.
And it's so interesting because we're so wired for connection. And yet we're afraid to make connection through ways that are foreign to us. But everyone craves it. Everyone craves community. I don't if you don't, there's something to address, because we are fundamentally wired to be a part of a tribe.
Right, yeah.
The reason that we have self-worth issues, because we're trying to cut off a part of us that we don't think is acceptable to the tribe. Well, I'm not worthy because I'm weird over here, or I fucked up here, or there's some shame over here, or whatever it is. And so our whole nervous system is wired to want to be in community.
Yeah.
When we can put that at the heart of everything that we do, regardless of whether it's automated or not, we're still in integrity with who we are and what we desire. We're just getting on the journey of, we can either sit back and judge everything that everyone's doing, or we can understand it and integrate it and be okay with where it's coming from, because it feeds into our values and what we desire. Everyone desire, I don't care who you are. You want to make more money and work less, truly. I don't care who you are. That everyone does. So how are you going to do that if you can't become omnipresent?
Yeah.
You're not.
Yeah. So true. I mean, how are you going to do it with the current process that you've got that hasn't got you there yet?
Truly.
It's like, and again, this is probably that moment where a lot of people listening or watching and are going to be like, fuck, I just got virtually smacked in the face with, I've been doing the same shit and expecting a different outcome, or I'll just wash, rinse, repeat what I did last year, because I'll get a little bit closer, and I'll get a little, and straight away my breath changes. It's like, it feels like that. It feels like the riding of the bike up the fucking hill,
I'm also going to call out some of my friends that might be watching this, and a part version of me that believed this. You're not going to meditate your way into more connection. You're not I'm spiritual as fuck, and I fully believe in frequency. I fully believe in surrendering and receive and attracting your tribe all day long. Why do you think I message people? So they get a sense of who I am and the essence of being in my energy.
Yeah.
And if you're not meeting the universe or meeting your desires with action, it's not going to magic into your lap. I promise you, it's not. I pretty much tried that for 12 months, and I literally got so far, and it was great. But there is just this maturity in business evolution that can only be found in taking action. And it's not action from hustle. It's not there is no fucking part of me that hustles. There is no part of me that works over a 4-hour day. None of me. I'm a single mom. I travel the world. None of me. I did this because I was like, how do I be in integrity with who I say I am and who I say I'm becoming? This big vision of helping the world change. If I'm going to allow myself to not meet myself in that action and be like, I'm better than automation, I'm better than AI, and it's just going to magic myself. Do you know what? Maybe it will. Maybe if I waited another 5 years to see whether energetically it would come into play, it would have happened. I ain't got 5 years, guys. Like, we need more medicine in more hands, like, now. And the only way I'm going to do that is by speaking to more people. It's their choice whether they come to me. It's their choice whether they want to buy. But if I'm not like, hey, I'm Lezly, I can help you solve your problems. But if I'm not for you, zero fucks. Let's connect anyway. Let's collab. Let's see whether there's something else that develops from actually being courageous in our ability to have conversations. And if not, cool. I will find someone that's for me. I'm not attached to having sales. I'm attached to like building connection and meeting the world with my desires and going, this is what I want, and this is how I'm showing up to meet it.
Yeah. Yeah. And for me, it was, how do I do cool shit and get paid for it? And how do I have cool people in my circle? That was it. That was the most important. It was the most important to me, because they were the things that I missed. They're the things that I longed for that I didn't get to experience. And they say, you know, you get to choose your family. Well, fuck me. I'm the luckiest chick in the fucking world, because the people that love and care about me now, the people that ring me on the days that I maybe haven't shown up on socials, or the ones that are like, do you want to do something crazy? You know, let's do something wild, or let's go on a trip, or, you know, like, how freaking epic's that? The money, it's a byproduct, you know, but it's the choices and the people, and the impact now is far greater due to being able to stay in, and same for you, stay in your zone of genius, do the things you love, and let the automations do the heavy lifting for a business that's now scalable.
Really?
Now scalable, because the systems, you just turn that tap on, it can be a little dribble or full ball where the whole entire tap's about to come out, you know, and it doesn't matter because the system doesn't care. The system doesn't care if you put 10 leads in or 10,000. The system's like, yes sir, no sir, 3 bags full, you know, rather than you and I. It used to be you and I that were like, yes sir, no sir, 3 bags full, and we've got all these things and we're trying to hold them and carry them and do all the things and parent and be present and meditate and charge our crystals, right? We can't.
I don't charge my crystals, no time for that shit.
I don't even know where mine are, right?
The sun will, the moon can come in the window and they're good.
This is it, you know, and I think there is this, you know, belief that there's a certain way that this has got to, you got to meditate your way there, and you've got to make sure you exercise 7 times a day, and you got to do this and you got to do that. And it, like, to be honest, I don't think I've done half of it, because my focus was, let's create more time. Then guess what? Short-term pain, long-term pleasure, rather than the other way around.
My whole thing is like, less is generally more. And if you don't have the infrastructure to support the less, you end up doing
less is less.
Less is less.
That's exactly what you said it was. Oh my God, I love this conversation so much. And, you know, I think a lot of people will, you know, resonate with what it looks like. And I know for me that as soon as I reverse engineered, when you start a business, you don't think, what's my exit strategy? You're like, oh my God, I've got spaghetti and I'm going to throw it at this wall and that wall, and anything that sticks, you run. But I think, like you said, you get to this maturity in business where you're like, hang on a minute. Can I actually walk away from this, you know, this monster that I've created? And most women that come to me, the answer is no. Because there's no strategy, there's no infrastructure, and there's been no reverse engineering your ideal outcome. And there's a couple of those. One is retiring. You know, whatever happens to the business, we'll have some people run it for us. There's retiring and, you know, giving it to your kids, or, you know, keep it in the family. There's burn the whole thing to the ground, who gives a shit, you know, it served me while I was alive, and off we go. Selling it is another one, and it needs to look completely different if you want to sell it. And then there's retiring into, which is, I don't want to leave it, you don't want to leave it, but we need to set it up in a way that it was worth it. That it was 100% worth it. So, oh, I love this. It's so juicy. I love it. Lezly, what would you say to somebody who has completely resonated with what we've chatted about today? You know, not in the sense of, hey, we're here to try and, you know, talk you into what we've done, but more so, you know, they're probably in that state of overwhelm right now, or they see this spaghetti stuck on the wall.
Nothing changes unless you do.
Mm.
And you can't change unless you're educated.
Was it as scary as you thought?
Was it as scary as I thought? Oh, yes and no. More so where the parts of my ego were like, wow, fuck. You really go fuck all, don't you, Lezly?
Oh, that's gold.
So maybe a little ego death. It's not scary as in like it's really easy to grasp and like I feel like I'm getting a handle on the why and the like the education piece, like I'm understanding it a bit more. But no, like, and I'm not opposed to short-term pain for long-term gain. Like I could have continued running in the direction I was going, and at the end of every year, fucking having my income fall off a cliff because I wanted to put the brakes on, but then I wasn't doing sales calls or I wasn't doing all of the things that everyone says you need to do. And you know, it's this quintessential, like the pain outweighed any discomfort that I've had in actually like taking that responsibility and putting in place what I should have had in place. And I also want to be like, everyone says awareness precedes change. Awareness only precedes change if you're willing to do the work to create the change. You can sit in an awareness loop for the rest of your fucking life, but if you're not going to actually do something different, you'll just stay in awareness of the fact that you hate the awareness circle that you're in. So
good. So good. I thank you so much for your time and sharing like why this made sense to you, because I think a lot of people would think, but you already had the things and you already know what you're doing. Why would it be any different? You've created all of the things before. But, you know, I think the piece for people to take away today is that now this time round, you actually, the gift you get at the end of this is your kids, your family, your friends, your time and your freedom, and you don't have to give up your business.
Truly, and the machine works when I don't want to.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't want to work more than 4 hours a day.
I'm pretty sure your machine just emailed me.
I mean, me too. Yeah, like everything, like the quintessential like goal is like making money when you sleep.
Ain't it what?
Truly. So like, how can we move towards that? And for everyone that's in service, is like, no, I just want to be in service. I can be in service and make money when I sleep because what I'm delivering on is something that's going to create change. So if I have an evergreen product that is marketed well and has the right infrastructure in place, someone in US can buy it whilst I'm sleeping. It pings to their inbox and I'm literally also then creating change while I sleep.
Yes.
So it's literally just about actually understanding what your motivators are and aligning your vision to your values and your motivators and realizing that it's the exact fucking same thing. But why fight against a system that's going to give you ease and grace versus egoically thinking we're bigger or better than?
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, that piece of, you know, being able to go global with your eyes shut, you know, and being able to create a predictable selling system, that this is now your blueprint. And like you said, it's not cookie cutter. This is your business's marketing blueprint due to testing and measuring and refining and, you know, us being able to riff off each other and tweaking messaging and updating your message as a whole, that has been able to create something that it's now far bigger than you. Far bigger than you. And I think, like you said, when we stay in that ego piece, you're making it about yourself. But when you bring in really smart systems and smart business and your blueprint, that's it. You can create, you know, a ripple effect far, far greater than yourself and far bigger than what you could ever do alone as well.
Truly.
So good. So much love for you. We still have a ton to create. So yes, we are not done yet. But you know, people are going to see this rolling out with you, which is really exciting. So let's do it, girl.
Go.